could not ensure his blacklisting as China put a technical hold in June 2022. China kept the hold for the last 6 months but has released it, paving the way for the UN sanction. Makki was one of the key plotters of 26/11 and has been involved in raising funds, recruiting and radicalizing youth for terror operations in Jammu and Kashmir. The Minister of External Affairs has said that India welcomes this step and will continue to pursue a zero-tolerance approach to terrorism. This has come as a significant blow to the China-Pakistan nexus that has shielded terrorists in the past, but China sees it differently, giving the spin that Makki was convicted and sentenced in Pakistan, which shows the nation's staunch fight against terror. However, from its inaction over COVID, LAC violations, human rights record, and economic imperialism in South Asia and Africa, China has found itself isolated on multilateral forums and India's aggressive diplomatic campaigning. Is this now indicative of India's rising diplomatic clout on the world stage?
We welcome the decision of the UN Security Council's ISIL and Al-Qaida Sanctions Committee to list Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Abdul Rehman Makki. India remains committed to pursuing a zero-tolerance approach to terrorism.
Those who are involved and who are complicit in acts of terrorism should be brought to book. Terrorists are made accountable for their actions.
Backdrop, realizing that this doesn't pay any dividends for them because terrorism is now, countering terrorism is now increasingly becoming a global norm.
Joining me now is Dr. Tara Kartha, is a former director, National Security Council Secretariat, Faisal Rahman, senior Pakistan journalist. Dr. Andrew K.P. Leong is international and independent China strategist. Dr. Leong, over the years, China has acted almost like an agent of Pakistan by blocking India's efforts to get Pakistan-based terror groups and individuals listed by 1267 Sanctions Committee. In return, we have seen how Pakistan has got the Islamic world to remain mum on atrocities against Uyghur Sunni Muslims in Xinjiang province. This was like a quid pro quo. Would you say that China has had no option and that because India managed to get the numbers, 14 or 15 members of the UNSC were backing India?
Well, let's not mix the cases together between the terrorists in Pakistan and the situation in Xinjiang. I think the two are quite different. As far as this Pakistani case is concerned, don't forget that the person in question was, in fact, arrested and sanctioned in the courts, even in Pakistan itself. I think about a couple of years ago, he was sanctioned by the Pakistani court and also, wanted by the authorities. So China, I think that in this case, sought a 6-month delay in order to find out more about the case. And now China has now agreed that supported the United Nations.
Dr. Tara Kartha, how much are you in agreement with this assessment of Dr. Leong, or would you be agreeing with what diplomats based in New York are saying, that China was isolated in the UNSC over Makki, as India made it clear that it would continue raising the listing of Lashkar terrorists, and the role that has been played by China in providing cover to Pakistan-based groups till its objective was achieved?
I think it proved very expensive to China to go on blocking a known terrorist, international terrorist, which everybody knows, and whom China has suddenly discovered has been arrested. It took 6 months to discover that. But then we have as far as I'm aware, he was, well, they say he was arrested, but I have no knowledge of it. The UN doesn't mention it. The Interpol notice doesn't mention it.
Yes.
So I don't know, honestly, where Makki is, because their own laws are so vague and so strange. I think at all times, at the 4 times that China blocked India's designation, it began to prove politically expensive. That's what I think. And number 2, if you look at Pakistan's record at the UN, the way it has tried to block legislation, it has blocked its reservations on the UN Convention on Terrorist Finance, the UN Convention on Bombing, terrorist bombing. You just look at their record. In every case, they have put reservations saying, we object to this, we object to that, self-determination, this, that, and the other. And a bunch of international countries, including Australia, Netherlands, have all said, how can you object to this? How can you object to terrorist bombings?
Yes.
So you want to know what Pakistan is up to, just look at their record in the United Nations.
Then in that case, Faisal Rehman, is there a degree of disappointment then of the stand that China had to take because it was isolated clearly?
Well, I'll just add a few things here. Number 1, post 9/11, the global political dynamics, they have changed, number 1. A T for terrorist is considered somebody with a beard and perhaps a Muslim. And unfortunately, this has led to a lot of questions and a lot of, I would say, issues.
Here, Makki is seen as the chief conspirator and a plotter of 26/11.
Well, when you talk about Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jamaat-ud-Dawa, a lot of organizations are still banned in Pakistan. Few of their leaders were also sent to the prison on certain charges. So Pakistan is exactly doing what they are supposed to do according to the laws and the norms of the international community. Number 1.
But he is continuing to run a terror factory in Bahawalpur in Punjab and has been responsible for major terror attacks in India. So what really is it that Pakistan has done?
I've met a lot of people, including Hafiz Saeed. And to tell you the truth, because exactly what has happened over a period of time, that this man has been declared a terrorist. Obviously, Americans are in alliance with the Indians and they're the strategic partners. So they would do exactly what China was doing with Pakistan. So Pakistan and China are also strategic partners. The point is now, since China has been isolated, or the Russians have been isolated by the Western world in one way or the other, whether it's through the trade war or the Taiwanese issue or whatever, even COVID-19 for that matter. So they are trying to put a lot of pressure on the Chinese also. So I would say that the Chinese had no other option, because if you say that
right.
14...
So Dr. Karta, has that axis, China, Pakistan axis been impacted? Or would you say that Chinese clarification which came, that, he had already been convicted in Pakistan, so they were waiting for a clarification, and it has happened. But let's not forget that China blocked his designation 4 times before giving up.
To be honest, I don't think there is a Pakistan-China axis in terms of terrorism. That is something China has very, very strong reservations on. That they don't, clearly this is not something that they would like to see growing in Pakistan. In some sense, I would tell the Pakistani gentlemen, this is good for Pakistan. The more you bring down terrorists, the more you close those places, actually close them, not just on paper. That is what Pakistan needs today. But in terms of I think it just was becoming embarrassing for China to go on blocking a terrorist whom the whole world knows about. Makki is an international figure. So it's not a question of US. That's what I was trying. It's not a US-India axis. You look at the UN record. So many countries have objected to the kind of things which Pakistan has done at the UN. It's there on record.
That was the diplomatic effort primarily by the Indians, in which I would say they have won.
Yes.
And I think that was a win-win situation for the Indians and for the West, especially when it comes to this particular person, Mr. Makki, Abdul Rehman Makki. Now, the second point is, ma'am, that when you talk about Makki, let's not consider him a global terrorist, that he has been doing something in America or in France or in Europe or elsewhere. Totally India-centric, because this man supposed the jihad, this man supposed the this indigenous homegrown movement for freedom in Kashmir. And we all know, let's not get there.
Mr. Rehman, you are trying to justify that someone who planned and orchestrated the 26/11 Mumbai attacks, you are justifying his move by saying that there was some kind of jihad here. And no, you are essentially saying that it has linked to Kashmir. No, I'm not going to give you airtime to voice that view. Dr. Leung, I want to understand from you. Here is the Pakistani guest who says that yes, China was isolated and they had little option but to back this move because India had the numbers. This is certainly embarrassing for Xi Jinping.
It is not the first time that China was so-called isolated because there was a Western coalition to push back against China on all fronts. But China has been very consistent in sticking to its own position as far as facts are concerned. And that's why China did not block the whole thing right from the start, did not veto the whole thing right from the start, but sought a 6-month extension in order to look at the facts. And afterwards, China agreed with the United Nations that he should be designated a global terrorist. So that's what it is. I don't think that you can just extend it to other areas at all.
Okay, Dr. Karta, let me give you the final word. I have just enough time for you, ma'am.
I think it's a good thing what China did, what it did. Finally, it got on to say that here's a terrorist and let's work with the international community. It's a good thing. But don't forget there are 4 others. The last 4 months, there are 4 others whom we are waiting to get, listed as terrorists, and China has so far shown no intention of moving with that. I hope it does. That's all I can say because it's good for everyone concerned, including Pakistan.
Yes, because if there are terror groups of this nature, Faisal Rehman, which is functioning, and you have Shehbaz Sharif accepting that things are going from bad to worse as far as the economics in the state is concerned, there are tensions on those lines, there's food crunch massively playing out. And if you continue to back these terror groups in the name of Islam, then certainly there is something going horribly wrong with the Pakistani state, the deep state.
Well, ma'am, do you justify the attack on the APS school in Peshawar in which 162 kids were literally butchered along with their teachers? And who was behind it? RAW was supporting the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. And we had all the proof. So let's not be that naive and innocent when it comes to it. Pakistan is one of those countries in the world, I think the only country which has suffered the most when it comes to the act of terrorism. Every other day, our soldiers are being butchered, being killed. Their posts are being attacked from Afghanistan's side. Obviously, who is supporting them? Who is giving them financial aid, or who is arming them? It's India. Not only in the previous government, but certainly when this government came into power, everybody thought Pakistan is going to be supporting Afghanistan. But again, the Indians moved in, and exactly what is happening, because I'm a journalist, I know. I get the information. We do understand what sort of actions are being taken against these terrorists by the Pakistan Armed Forces. But when it comes to particularly, let me be very clear about one thing. This is the general perception in Pakistan that Kashmir is our jugular vein, right? When it comes to Kashmir, this old issue has been totally politicized by the Indians.
No, but why is it being even considered on those lines? Dr. Karta, we are talking about what will be seen as India's big diplomatic victory. Someone who has been blocked repeatedly by China, and despite its vote as a permanent member, India managed to outmaneuver China. And let's not forget that it has happened 4 times in the past, that they blocked it. So it is about persistence, and at the same time understanding that India had all the evidence to back its claim. There is a reason why this man had to be declared as a global terrorist.
But this is
it's a fantastic job by MEA. They've done an excellent job because they've just gone at it, to try and get this through. We got this through. It's also a win for the global counterterrorism community.
Yes.
I mean, I don't care what Pakistan says that Lashkar-e-Taiba didn't target Americans. It targeted Jews. It targeted people all over the world. It is not just India-centric, sorry. It is active in Afghanistan as well. So this is a terrorist who is important for the whole region. And we've got him designated. That is something to be proud of.
Dr. Karta, Faisal Rehman and Dr. Leung, thank you so much for your time. All the stories on news18.com. That's all from me. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thanks a lot for watching.